I'm Derek Gatherer. I've been studying Eurovision voting patterns for about the last 10 years. After the songs are over, the really amusing part starts, which is when the countries start to vote for each other. Eurovision uses the Borda system for voting. Borda was a late 18th century French gentleman, philosopher and scientist. The top vote is 12 points to the favourite. Then you give 10 points to your second favourite, 8 points to the third favourite. I've been using computer simulation of the contest to demonstrate that there are some statistically significant odd voting patterns going on. On the x-axis of the graph here, we have the points from 0 to 12, where 0 is the famous nul point and 12 is the maximum. And on the y-axis here, we have the probability. Mostly, the likelihood will be that one country will not give very many votes to another country over a 5-year period if the voting is random. Any score over a 5-year period in the real world, which is greater than this 1% threshold here, is a statistically significant vote from one country to another country, which is beyond the bounds of chance. These statistically significant voting patterns can be very complex. This diagram shows all of the voting patterns that are statistically significant between the years 2005 and 2009. You can see that some countries have very many connections. It's possible to show that Germany consistently votes for Turkey and for Greece, but Turkey and Greece don't consistently vote for Germany, so that voting pattern is going in one direction. Some voting patterns, on the other hand, go in both directions. They're vote exchanges. The Scandinavian bloc centres on Denmark. All the other countries in Scandinavia exchange votes with Denmark, with the exception of Finland. Finland also exchanges votes with Estonia. The countries in red are the countries that were formerly part of the Soviet Union. So we can see that there's a sort of former Soviet bloc here in red. We still haven't answered the question as to how these voting blocs arose in the first place. What happened was that at some time in the late 90s or the early part of the millennium, people in many countries around Europe spontaneously decided to start going out and casting votes via telephone for their other favourite countries, whether it be a neighbouring country or a more distant country that they liked. And the people in those countries, without ever having met the people from the other countries, were reciprocating. A very, very strange social phenomenon. And studying the statistics of it, although it's interesting and describes what's happening, doesn't tell us why.